Our project is called Neurosite. Now let's go into the problem. I work in the FX trading business. FX traders really can detect risk anomaly before the system and even before anyone else can detect this. And again, this caused basically issues with delays in operational risk. It also resulted in slow remediation and also costly errors, especially in fast-moving markets. So how do I solve this problem? Well, whenever a trader detects a market anomaly, they press a ring trigger. And my system basically, what it does, it will look for a P3 signal, which is a small EEG cognitive response when someone detects something unexpected. When the PT is detected, that moment is validated. For my experiment, what I did is I built a FX simulator that fires news events periodically. I'll also have the ring trigger where the user press on it whenever they detect a news event. And more importantly, I have the EEG headset called Neurable device, which captures EEG data and allows for the detection of the P3 signal. And again, when the P3 signal is detected, the moment is validated. And more importantly, it's also timestamped. And that timestamps allow for a focused time slice across your live news data, market data, as well as metrics that could be fed into analytics, AI model, and then pushed out to dashboards to all your stakeholders. This is risk communication augmented. So as an analogy, basically my solution is like a panic button, but a smart panic button, because you can press a panic button by accident, or even there's no meaningful moment behind it. For a P2 signal that is strong means that the moment matters, right? If it's flat, weak, or even no signal for that matter, ignore it. So this filters out the noise from the real risk signals. So who is this solution for? So the stakeholders are pretty much your buy side, sell side, capital market stakeholders, right? From your hedge funds that operate in small specialized trading pots, right, to your larger wholesale dealing desks. They all need clear and fast risk communication. From my feedbacks with stakeholder, one thing is clear: no wearables. The headset, the ring trigger, they get away with the workflow. Forget about wearing for long durations. So for my go-to market product, I have to pivot on something that doesn't use wearable. And what naturally came as a natural solution is this pilot chair. Introducing my go-to-market product, the NeuroPilot. It's a hardware integrated with your EEG electrode, and in addition, eye tracking. It also has a embedded computation system, and also very important, the hardware security is for encryption. That's very important in the banking industry. And then lastly, the ergonomic form factor, which is the main reason for this. And going to the software, so basically it provides your EEG, eye tracking, API data. And also I provide the cognitive detection model for example, for the P3 signals. And then lastly, I offer virtual, versions of the NeuroPilot for development testing purposes. Oops. So for the business model, it's basically a 3-tier subscription model. Primarily, there's a one-time hardware cost for the NeuroPilot. as well as reoccurring various software fees. But I think the focus is really on the tier one enterprise customers, because this is where we focus on helping them with the custom integration and specific use cases through our professional service. They're gonna have to pay for it. As far as the competition is concerned, the current neurotech market addresses, for example, wellness, like the Neurobot headset for productivity and also to help with stress. And then they have other neurotech devices for medical and also behavior research, such as this open BCI Galia. And they cost basically from a few $100s to tens of thousands of dollars. So just put in perspective, this is my initial cost per neuropilot. And and lastly, in terms of focus, uh, a focus on the risk communication augmentation, none of that exists, especially in a non-wearable form. So my project took me pretty much from experimenting in the use of P3 for risk detection and to pivoting to the NeuroPilot go-to-market product. Obviously, there's more work to be done to build a prototype of the NeuroPilot, and that's what the $5 million asks for. Thank you. Any questions?
Sorry, I don't understand what this does. Like,
Yeah, so basically in the institutional trading environment, right, we support a lot of trading systems that are more or less automated. And it's not just a trader, he has various teams. I think I show slides where you have like production support, other traders, quants. So the goal is basically a lot of times the trader will kind of know that there might be something coming or a risk issue. And even before they communicate, because a lot of times when they communicate, they have to use teams. You know, with traditional channels, by the time they communicate the actual problem and understand what it is, the moment has passed and also the P&L has been impacted. And the goal is to try to be more proactive than after the fact, because that's currently in the industry. I mean, that's why right now there's only break glass solution and kill switches, because after the fact, and my goal is try to prevent that and address it before it happens. And I think this kind of augments that communication in partnership with what the trader is detecting at the moment. And then with that signal to kind of use, I guess, machine to supplement and provide additional information to the rest of the team so that they could react to it before. Yeah.
got it. So when the trader is like, something happens and the signal goes, does something happen? Like, do they trade something?
P3 signal is involved. So when the trader clicks on, let's say, a market event or a volatility event, that they know maybe the algo system won't be able to handle it, right? At that moment, there will be likely be a P3 trigger. So basically, at the same time you press it, that signal is validated. And once it's validated, basically it also has a time step, because again, the P3 is a time lock signal. It's between, if you look at the size, between 200 to 500 milliseconds. So you can actually identify the stimulus or the stimuli. And also by taking a small time slice of that, your odds are better at detecting the anomaly than you pulling every slice to kind of detect that, because it's very inefficient. If basically my goal is to make this more efficient on demand when it's necessary.
Last question, why doesn't the trader click on something to take action on the thing that he's seeing?
Because in this type of market, a lot of the system is it's done automatically, and the traders they can't really intervene. I mean, there's like regulations, there's separation rules and roles and duties, right? In the financial industry, so between technology and the business, there's a fine line. So a lot of times, in order to address those issues, the business or the trader need to involve other team members for that. Yes.
It's pretty interesting. Maybe consider not building a chair and retrofitting an air-on chair
Yeah, that's the idea. If I did kind of, if you, yeah, so I just don't want to bog you guys with detail, but
I mean, the P and L and show in the market that using this chair allows you to increase my P and L.
yeah, because honestly, the chair kind of is an afterthought for this project because my original focus really on the experimental aspects of using P3 signals to see how well it can be used to detect
Chairs were training, so you're not aware of
yeah,
the whole idea.
thank you, sir. Go ahead.
When I think about institutional risk, it's not just the emotional response of an individual trader, it's the collective.
Exactly. And also like an indicator amongst the desk by tracking their neural activity, how hard are they trading that market, especially on a high touch flow.
One person might have very measured, non-emotional step, but collectively 20 traders all may result in a very high risk event. So I kind of am questioning that connection between that emotional response of one individual to the actual risk
Yeah,
of collective institutions.
correct. Yes, like that's why I mentioned earlier that's a particular use case that we can explore with the customer. Because again, it's specific to maybe there's particular trading strategy. It's tied into that. There's no kind of a general answer, but you're right. There is a way to use these signal to address what you're saying. Kind of being able to determine across the collective how how their neural signal is behaving with respect to the market and kind of using that information, right?
Yeah, I like the idea of measuring more information in very high value important situations. I'm just wondering if maybe it's not addressing risk that might be the opportunities and might be other ones.
Yeah, exactly. Again, this is like even like a pre-seed. That's I mean, again, I'm starting this as a in terms of experiment really on the P3 side of things, but you're right. It can even go beyond I guess risk management. Yes. You're right.